Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I want to say hello. Alicia and I just went out and we went running. You guys know that I'm trying to lose weight and or keep the weight off and trying to stay in shape. So I was out in the hot sun. So forgive me if I look a little dusty right now. But I had to. I just wanted to talk about stuff while it was on my mind, so I could share it with you and hopefully give you some perspective on some things, something that might benefit you as you figure out what to do with your life, what to do with your kids, stuff like that. What's going on, everybody? Hashtag B1 in the chat. Put hashtag B1 if you agree with me that we should be black first. For anything else, before anything else, we are black first. B1. The black community matters more than any other community, and I respect that. So let's jump in and talk about the conversation today. All right, so I'm going to make this pretty brief. And it has to do with Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a guy that you probably know about. He's a rapper that's been around for a while. He's very talented. He's been in the game for a minute. His wife, Beyonce, is also a boss in her own right. Man, much respect to their family. And they just released a song that I was asked about, and I have no problem commenting on it. And it's called Entrepreneur. And of course, you know, the word entrepreneur is of interest to me because I've been screaming and hollering from the mountaintop for decades about what it's going to take in order for you to evolve as a community economically. We talk about reparations and all these other things, but we have to also talk about entrepreneurship as much as we talk about reparations. Reparations starts with the word repair. Repair means that part of that repair is going to have to be done by us. And also, even if you get reparations, you also need institutions because even if they write a big check to you about what's going on with with reparations or whatever, even if they write you a big check and give you a bunch of money, if your mindset is that of a consumer and nothing more, then you're going to have a very difficult time growing out of that and actually having real wealth and real power. So, and you guys know this, those of you who've been here before, raise your hands because I know that you're probably investing already. Many of you are teaching your children how to start businesses. Many of you have taught your kids about real estate. If you haven't done those things yet, I'm going to give you a quick framework in order to consider that. Now, hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Also, make sure you please subscribe to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com, THE, that's theblackfinancialchannel.com. So here's my breakdown on Jay-Z's entrepreneurship song. The song is called Entrepreneur. It's a really good song. Jay-Z's really talented. Pharrell's talented. You can't do much better than that in terms of music. But that honestly doesn't matter to me that much. I've heard great songs before. Some of these songs are just BS. Some of them just push a message that literally is incredibly genocidal for Black people, very harmful to Black people, very disrespectful to Black people. And so anyway, the thing that I want you to realize though is, hip hop, something that's very powerful, something that's very much capable of shifting and shaping the mindsets of millions of people all around the world in terms of shaping how Black people see ourselves, how we see each other, and how other people see us. That was hijacked. I believe it was hijacked in the 90s. I believe that they got to a point where they just said, okay, this thing is too powerful. We're going to try to get them to turn the gun on themselves and basically shoot ourselves in the head. And so, by the way, I want you guys to know who's watching the chat. You keep bringing up the stuff with Jay Morrison. I did a statement on that, and I'm not going to keep talking about that. If y'all want to fight and get into chaos, you can do that. We're here to build. So, if you're disrupting the class, then I'm going to have to put you out of the class. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. I already talked about it. I told you I'm an investor in the Tulsa Fund. I'm very happy to support a black-owned fund. But when you get into childishness and nonsense, I'm almost 50 years old. I ain't got time for that. So please stop that stuff. Stop trolling in the chat. And when I see you in there, I am going to delete you from the chat, not because I hate you, but because we ain't got time for that. That's some Willie Lynch BS, and I'm not here to do Willie Lynch with you. We're not doing that. So go fight, go stab each other, punch each other in the jaw, beat each other's kids up, whatever you want to do, go do it. But that's not going to happen in here. I already made a statement on it. It's done. That's not my business. Go talk to them about their business. Talk to me about mine. So let's back it up. Let's move back into this and handle your business. Build something. Go build something, man. Seriously, stop all that stuff. Build something. So anyway, with that being said, here's the issue. So we need entrepreneurs in our community. We don't have enough wealth builders in our community. We need an army of institution builders. And the reason this song is very important is because we need people that are going to create jobs for kids in the next generation. Those who are coming up as children now cannot be trained to simply become, slaves, basically corporate slaves or student loan slaves to white-owned institutions. That's not going to build Black wealth. Black wealth is actually dropping, despite all the progress that they've told you that you made over the last 50 years. That's dropping because student loans and your desire to go work for others as opposed to working for yourselves, and also the inability to save and invest as opposed to consume, is draining your wealth. So it doesn't matter if somebody writes you a $10 trillion check for reparations. If you're gonna give away $12 trillion, then you lose. The big thing about business, the big thing about wealth is it's like a basketball game. You have to score more points than you give away. If you give away 100 points and you score 90, then you still lost the game. You can't say, well, I scored 90 points. Look at me. Look at how many points I scored. If you let the defense, if you let the other team, the opposition, score 100 points, then you have lost the game. So ultimately, what I love about Jay-Z's song Entrepreneur is that it shapes culture. Hip hop shapes culture so much. When you study psychology and you see how hip hop shapes the minds of our kids, and I have an issue with Apple Music and the record labels that will push the Cardi B's to the top of the pile. No disrespect to Cardi. Cardi can do whatever she wants to do, but she can be a stripper. She can be whatever she wants. But you got to ask yourself, why is it when they go to the Black community, they'll pull out the stripper ahead of the intellect? When they'll pull out the Cardi B and they'll forget about the NDREs and the Lauryn Hills, right? That's a process. That's basically them telling you that you've been typecast, that they want you to fill a certain role in society, and those roles are designed specifically for Black people. So with that said, Jay-Z, you said shout out Tidal. Okay, Tidal, I'll shout it out, no problem. Jay-Z, I think, has gone through a transition that is very nice to watch. I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know the man. I do know 6 years ago, I had a really long conversation with a guy who was introduced to me as Beyonce's road manager. And he was one of the managers for their tour, something that he did. I don't remember what the job was, but he was a very nice guy. We talked for 2 hours. And I remember saying, I don't understand why Jay-Z and Beyonce are saying some of the things, putting out the messages that are coming out in the music. It doesn't make any sense. And he said, no, Jay's pro-Black. Jay really cares. Jay does this. And I said, yeah, it doesn't matter what you are. What matters is what you do. What matters is what you do, not what you say you are, not what you believe, but what do you actually do? And in fact, I'd rather have a bad person do good things than a good person do bad things. Because what you do that defines who you are. You could be a good person, but if you go kill somebody, you're a murderer. Right. So your actions are everything. So I just said, if that's who Jay is, I'd like to see that in his music. I really would. And I don't know if that made a difference at all, but it was really great to see him transition and get to the point where his music has really shown an economic awareness that I think you should pay attention to. He is what I call financially woke. Another term that we use in the Black Business School is economically mature. Economically mature means that you're thinking about money and wealth in a grown-up way as opposed to a child's way. The way a child thinks about money is this. If you ask a child, if you say to a child, if you give a child $30 and you say, what are you going to do with your $30? What's the child going to say? A child's going to say, oh, I'm going to go buy some candy, or I'm going to go get me some new shoes or whatever, right? An adult is going to do something different with that money, right? A child's not going to say, no, I'm not going to get no candy. I'm going to go pay a light bill. Or no, I don't want a new video game. I want to put it in my 401k, right? Children don't do that, right? But unfortunately, many of us, and I believe the culture contributed to this, were trained to be economic children. We were trained to think of money as burn it up, throw it up, get rid of it. And all this is encouraged through the music. The music encourages everything. The music has inspired every movement that's existed in our community since forever. Music always underscored every movement that's ever happened in this country. So you cannot talk about this without talking about the artists and the fact that there are artists that are on board with what we're doing. I love it. Two artists reached out to me this week. I talked to Kanye. Ice Cube reached out. I did not talk to Ice Cube, but he did reach out. You see T.I. doing great things. Jay-Z's doing better things, and I just love it. I mean, even if I disagree, like some of the stuff T.I. says, I don't align with all of it, but I just like this idea of evolving. Now, maybe that's natural, right? Because these guys are not 18 years old anymore. They're now in their 30s and 40s and whatever. And so I think Jay's over 50, if I'm not mistaken. And so, which is amazing that he can rap so well, as old at the age that he's at. But I really think that this is important. I think this is significant. And what I really encourage you to also consider is this reality. Even if you get reparations, you need to have your own businesses. Even if white folks write you the biggest check in the history of all mankind, you need to have your own institutions. It's just like if a woman gets married to a wealthy man, don't be like these basketball wives depending on some man to take care of you. No, you still have your own. God bless a child that has his own. And the reason that you always want to have your own, no matter what, is because when the stuff really hits the fan and decisions have to get made and the buck is going to stop with somebody, you want that buck to be able to stop with you. You want institutions in your community, because what will happen is this. Look, some white folks who we accuse of racism, some of them are not even trying to be racist. They're just being who they are. Their values are just what their values are. So if I have no home, if I don't save my money, don't own my own house, don't own my own business, don't have my own resources, and I go live with a guy who's a Mormon, and the Mormon says, well, in our house, everybody prays before dinner, and if you don't pray, you're a bad person. And I can say, well, in my house, we never prayed, and praying for dinner is not a big deal, so I'm not a bad person. I just don't want to pray. It doesn't matter. You're going to be defined and labeled as a bad person. And eventually he's going to say, look, you got a choice. You can either sit down and do what we do, or you can get to hell out, get to stepping. Right. So for Black people, we get in that position all the time. You end up, they talk about trap music. You talk about trap music. Well, it ain't just the dope boys that are in the trap. We got corporate Negroes that are in the trap. We got Harvard educated Black people that are in the trap. We got lawyers and doctors that are in the trap who went to school and know how to get a job, but don't know nothing about starting a business, who don't have nothing it's put aside in terms of assets that are accumulating in value. They have nothing set for financial security. They're sitting on so much in student loans that they're going to die in debt. So don't think that, rappers or dope boys are the only guys that can end up in the trap. A lot of us educated Black folks who went to school and everything else. I mean, I had my PhD. I had a PhD and I was in the trap. Right? We all end up in the trap. And I said, I got to get out the trap. Now, fortunately, I was trained to be a locksmith to get out the trap. My PhD in finance allowed me to dissect and decompose the economic systems that kept me constrained, to the point where I said, I think if I jimmy the lock and twist it this way and twist it that way, I can get up out the trap. So then I got out the trap in around 2004, 2005, and I started speaking on wealth issues and stuff like that, sharing this with the community. It was very difficult to do because the momentum was going completely against me. Even at that time, a lot of the music that you might have heard from with Jay-Z was not necessarily economically empowering. I don't know if you remember with the album he did with Kanye, where they were talking about the private, can you see the private jets flying over you, and look at my Bentley and look at my big chains and everything else. And that to me is that kind of, music where you're celebrating yourself. I get that, right? People like that. People like that arrogance. They like to see people bragging about how they're doing so much better than you. I don't think that's not the language of intelligent or conscientious people, in my opinion. That's oppressive language, in the sense is like, if I'm sitting here hungry and broke and starving, why am I sitting here excited because you have a private jet and a limo and I have nothing, right? It doesn't mean that you have to give me what you got, but it does mean that I need to go be focusing on myself and getting something from me. But when your self-esteem is low, you can do that. You can get caught up in the symbolism to the point where you think that because your favorite rapper is doing well, that means you're doing well. And really, most of your favorite rappers are not doing well. Most of them are not in the position of a Jay-Z because they don't have economic intelligence. So, so since that time, when we first started and we were literally pushing this stuff out, I remember saying it would be my dream if the rappers started rapping about economics, because that's going to be a game changer for Black people. It really will be. The Black economic revolution, I've been talking about this for a decade. The Black economic revolution is going to succeed because so many soldiers are on board now. When I've spoken so many times with people like Charlemagne the God, and I introduced him, to Powernomics and Dr. Claude Anderson, and we got Farrakhan into the show. I said, I'm amazed. If I were white and I were trying to oppress Black people, I would not allow this to happen, because what you're doing is you're allowing strong, courageous, unapologetic Black men to dictate language that's going to be spread to the masses. And so we were strategic. We were talking about this stuff, and next thing you know, we've got something that I think is really going to be special. So I'm excited, man. I'm super excited. when Kanye tweeted out the Powernomics book last week, which to me was a victory for Black people, and also you're part of the victory. If you care about this sort of issue, I encourage you to use your own networks, get on social media, share links, maybe share a link to this video, let people know what you represent, because economics is a culture. Wealth building is almost like a religion. So the same way people spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, you got to spread the gospel of Black economic empowerment. Seriously, the B1 gospel of Black economic empowerment. We Black first, we take care of our own. Our children know how to go get that money. They know how to be successful and do it in an ethical way, right? Here's some basic frameworks that you can walk away with, so you don't so this isn't just me giving you a sermon. This is me actually giving you some instructions that you can apply if you choose to do so. 1, every Black child in America should know how to start a business by the age of 12. That is a good option. If they either A, hate their job and want to quit, you want them to have options. Options are very important. Options are critical for your happiness and well-being. A lot of the reason that you have so many depressed Black people is because they don't have any options. When you don't have options, that creates depression. So entrepreneurship gives you options. It's just like teaching a basketball player how to dribble with the left hand and the right hand instead of just having one go-to move where he's going to the right. A player that just has one move and he can only use one hand is easy to stop. But a player who can go in either direction and it can shoot it, can dunk over you, can shoot a free throw, can do a layup or whatever, that person has a lot of options. So you want your children to play the economic game with options. First option, entrepreneurship. That also gives them the ability to create side hustles and multiple streams of income. That gives them additional financial security, which will help their income grow. Number 2, every Black child should know at least the basics of real estate at an early age. That means that they should understand that if you are a renter, that should be a temporary situation for you. At some point, you want to try to be an owner, because what happens is that the owners get rich because the renters make them rich. Let me say that again. The owners get rich because the renters make them rich. You are buying a house for your landlord. By the time you're done, if you stay in that apartment for 10, 20 years, you will have bought a house for your landlord, that he will pass that house to his children, and your children will not get anything. They will not get that house. So make sure that you learn the basics on how to buy a home. Make sure your children understand that, and make sure they at least understand from a values perspective that home ownership or ownership of real estate, it should be at the top of their priority list. It should be more important than buying a new pair of Gucci shoes. It should be more important than going out to Popeye's Chicken. It should be more important than going out and going on another vacation or buying a pair of Jordans. You do all that after you position yourself for financial security. Third piece, every Black child in America should know how to buy stock and should own stock as early as possible. So that means that all your children, born and unborn, let me say that again, this is vision here. This is vision. This is not me talking about the here and now. I don't care about the here and now. I'm not talking about the year 2020. I'm talking about the year 2030, the year 2040, the year 2050. Sun Tzu in The Art of War. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu said that the battle is won before it begins. So I don't want you to fight the battles that exist in 2020. I need you to fight the battles that are going to exist in 2030, 2040, 2050, 2060. Just like sports, whoever gets to the spot first usually wins. So you're going to get to 2050, 2060 before everybody else does. So that way you'll be prepared to gentrify 2060. The same way white people are able to gentrify hoods in the year 2020. Well, they didn't start planning that in 2019. They didn't start planning it in 2014. They started planning that in 1975. They started planning early because they knew that if we get to the spot first, then we can be the ones who win, right? So ultimately, every Black child, all your children, born and unborn, should own shares of stock and understand stock ownership as early as possible. So if you are 14 years old, I'm not kidding, if you're 14 years old, then you're going to be a parent in the next 10 years, maybe 15 years, whatever. Go ahead, start investing now. Start investing now for your children. Why? They're going to exist. Why not go ahead and get ready for them now? If you have a newborn baby, best gift to give to that child when they come to the world is a share of stock. And don't just give them one, do it like a meal. Give it to them like a meal. You don't feed your child one time and then starve them for the next 18 years, do you? You don't feed your baby once and say, well, I fed the baby 5 years ago. Why is he asking for food again? No, don't buy one share of stock. You buy that child a share of stock every chance you get. Every time you take them to a fast food restaurant, you say, baby, we spent $12 in McDonald's. Let me buy you $12 worth of McDonald's stock and we can add it to your portfolio, right? So you start buying it consistently as a habit, because when that child gets to be 25, 30 years old, they won't be in the struggle anymore. They'll be able to play powernomics. They'll play above the rim because you're going to put them in a position where they are economically tall, like a basketball player. The tall basketball players have an advantage over the short ones. Anthony Davis dominates on the Lakers partly because he's 6'11". If Anthony Davis wasn't 6'11", 7 feet tall, if he was 5'8", he would have a very hard time playing at the level he's playing. He wouldn't even be in the NBA. Anthony Davis dominates because he's tall. Well, you want your children to be economically tall because it becomes very easy for them to play the economic game above the rim, right? So prepare them now. Don't wait until later. Prepare them now. Start buying those shares of stock now. We have in the Black Business School, we have the $5 a day investment plan. This is an ebook that I put together. Anybody can have it for free. Just go to firstshareofstock.com, firstshareofstock.com. There's a free training on how to get started on TD Ameritrade, but also you'll get stuff sent to your email. And one of the things we'll send you is my ebook on the $5 a day investment plan. And by doing just literally the little things, just investing the amount of money that you would spend on a Popeye's chicken value meal and doing that on a regular basis, you do that over a 20 or 30 year period, that grows into an enormous amount of money. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. You do that for your child till they're 25, 30 years old, they're going to have a ton of money. And you don't have to give them the money. Somebody asked, what's the best investment vehicle for a child? Now, we cover a lot of that in the classes, but what I'll say in general, first and foremost, is I'm not a big believer in giving a whole bunch of money to a kid. I don't do that. I invest for my children, but it's an account that has my name on it. Now I have a trust in place. I have a pretty thorough estate plan so that if something happens to me, if I die tomorrow, they're going to be taken care of. They're going to get their chunks, but they're not going to get it all at once. They're going to get it doled out in pieces. And also I don't even make them aware that the money's available. I kind of let them know a little something, like, okay, if something happens to me, just call Alicia and have her put you in touch with the lawyer. But it's not one of those things where I'm like, oh yeah, I saved you up $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. Here you go. 18 years old. You don't give an 18-year-old that kind of money. I'm sorry. I don't know about y'all. I was stupid at the age of 18. If you would give me $50,000 at 18, I would have had $1,000 by the age of 19. Now some people are different, right? But the thing is, your brain's not even fully developed until you're 25 years old. So just keep that in mind. So the website is firstshareofstock.com. Every word spelled out. There's no number one. It's just FIRST, firstshareofstock.com, firstshareofstock.com. Feel free to go check that out. And also tonight, if you're interested, in the Black Business School, we're doing a special lecture on how to turn your child into a millionaire. So I break down basically an equation and a set of formulas that show you how very easy it is to put your child in a position of extreme economic strength by the time they're 25 or 30 years old. This is what millionaires do with their kids. It's not hard to do. It doesn't matter if you're Black. This works for Black people, white people, Asian people, whatever. So here's your opening. Here's your opportunity. This is why Jay-Z's song and all this stuff is so important, is that it's very difficult, if not impossible, for me to get every Black person to a level where they're surpassing every white person. It's hard to do because I don't control media, the educational system. There are so many systems designed to oppress you and distract you that many people aren't going to get the information they need. But if you're smart enough to pick certain information, it's very, very easy, very straightforward for your child to be in a position that is better than 99% of all white people, right? It's not, there's no racial barrier. There's no white guy that's going to come along and punch your child in the face and take all the money out of his bank account. That just doesn't happen, right? So what I just kind of want you guys to understand is these problems are very solvable. And what I really like is I like when people are solving problems. I like when people are building. I like when people are planning. I like when people are strategizing. People who don't do those things, I don't know what to do, because I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm not worn out. Like, I'm not an old man, but I'm not a guy that has a lot of energy to waste on BS, because I'm tired of being a nigga. I'm not interested in doing that anymore. I'm not your nigga anymore. That's not going to happen. I'm a Black man, and as a man, part of manhood means planning and preparing and fighting battles. So I'm a fighter. I'm a strategizer. I'm a planner. If you can't come to me with a solution, then take that in the other room. Don't come to me with a bunch of whining and complaining about how hard it is to be Black. You're the original man. Your ancestors survived the Middle Passage. You can survive this. Your ancestors survived slavery. You can survive Donald Trump. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay. So anyway, I'm about to go, guys. Do me a favor. Oh, by the way, if you want to join us for the thing tonight, you can actually get in for $1 if you want to. You can do a $1 trial in blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, which is our business school for children. The first month costs $1. So if you're homeschooling your kids, it's great for your kids. It'll make a big difference for the rest of their lives. And there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not happy for any reason, you let us know. We have a great support team that's always available, and they will take good care of you, make sure you're happy. So there's no risk. Don't be nervous. Don't think you're going to get played or anything anything like that. This is something that's built for the community. It doesn't cost that much. And I know, because I am a financial scientist, my PhD is in this stuff, I know this stuff works. So feel free to go check it out. You can go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. So hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. And by the way, Jay-Z, good job with the song, man. I'm very proud of you. Talk to you guys later. Be good. Peace.